Have you ever driven down a familiar street and noticed something that makes you stop cold? A building you swear wasn't there before? A storefront in a space you remember being empty? Most of us shake it off. Bad memory. We must have overlooked it. But what if you were right? What if something really did appear overnight? Something that had no right to exist? This is the story of 44 Maple Street, the house that appeared from nowhere, the house that devoured time itself, and the man who survived to tell us what lurks in those impossible rooms. This is a true account, or at least the people who lived through it believe it to be true. The government denies it. Scientists can't explain it. But the families of the missing, they know better. Welcome to the story of the house that wasn't there yesterday. Before we dive into this chilling tale, if you enjoy mysterious and unexplained stories like this one, please hit that like button, subscribe to Dark Tide, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next terrifying story. Your support helps us bring you more content like this. Now let's continue. October 15th, 2023, started like any other Sunday in the suburban neighborhood of Maple Street. Sprinklers hissed on manicured lawns. The smell of coffee drifted from open windows. Children rode bicycles in lazy circles. Sarah Mitchell laced up her running shoes at 6:47 a.m. just as she did every morning. Her route never varied, down Maple Street, around the park, back up through the residential blocks, 3.2 miles. She'd memorized every crack in the sidewalk, every crooked mailbox, every yard where dogs would bark as she passed. But this morning, something was different. Between 42 and 46 Maple Street, where the old Henderson lot had sat empty for 5 years, there now stood a house. Not a new house. Not a construction site that had materialized overnight. A complete Victorian mansion, 3 stories tall with peaked turrets and a wraparound porch. The wood siding was painted a faded gray that might have once been white. Shingles curled on the roof. The windows, tall and narrow, reflected nothing, as if they were made of obsidian rather than glass. Sarah stopped running. Her heart pounded, and not from exertion. She'd jogged past this spot yesterday. She'd jogged past it hundreds of times. There had never been a house here. The Hendersons owned the land but had never built on it after their son died in a car accident. Everyone on the street knew the story. The empty lot was a memorial, unofficial but understood. Sarah walked closer, pulling out her phone. The house loomed larger with each step. Details emerged that made her skin prickle. The porch steps sagged in the middle, worn by decades of footsteps. The paint didn't just look old, it looked ancient, peeling in long strips that revealed older paint beneath, and older paint beneath that, like archaeological layers of time. But the lawn was the worst part. It was overgrown with grass so tall it reached Sarah's knees, dandelions gone to seed, thistles, a birdbath green with algae, a garden that looked neglected for years. Yet yesterday this had been dirt and gravel. Sarah dialed 911 with shaking fingers. "I need to report something on Maple Street," she said when the dispatcher answered. "I don't know how to explain this, but a house just appeared, a whole house. It wasn't here yesterday." There was a pause. "Ma'am, are you saying someone built a house overnight?" "No, I'm saying it appeared. It's old. It looks like it's been here for 50 years, but it wasn't here yesterday. I jog past this spot every single day." Another pause, longer this time. "We'll send someone to take a look." Within 20 minutes, a police cruiser rolled down Maple Street. Officer Mike Brennan, a 15-year veteran who'd grown up 3 blocks away, stepped out and immediately froze. He'd driven past this lot twice a day for 15 years. He knew it was empty. He'd even been to the Henderson boys' funeral back in 2008. "What in the hell?" he muttered. By 8 a.m., the street was blocked off. Yellow tape stretched across both ends. More police arrived, then a fire truck. Then city officials in cheap suits and worried expressions. The Hendersons' neighbors gathered at the barriers, pointing and whispering. Tom Chen, who lived at 46 Maple Street, pulled up old photos on his phone, backyard barbecue pictures that clearly showed the empty lot next door. taken just 3 weeks ago. It's impossible, he kept saying. It's literally impossible. By 10 a.m., the news vans arrived. By noon, it was on every channel. CNN interrupted regular programming. Social media exploded with theories: mass hallucination, secret government project, alien technology, parallel universe collision, viral marketing stunt. Every explanation was proposed and debated, but the house remained solid and undeniable. You could touch it. You could smell the old wood and mildew. You could hear the wind whistling through cracks in the siding. Dr. Raymond Cole arrived at 1 p.m., summoned by the mayor's office. A physicist from Northern University, he specialized in temporal mechanics, theoretical stuff mostly, equations that described how time might bend or fold. He'd never expected to encounter anything like this in real life. He set up equipment on the sidewalk: electromagnetic sensors, thermal cameras, radiation detectors, a laser rangefinder to measure the house's exact dimensions. His instruments went haywire. The electromagnetic readings spiked randomly, patterns that made no sense. The thermal camera showed the house existing at multiple temperatures simultaneously, parts of it reading at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, other parts at 98 degrees, still others at temperatures his equipment couldn't register because they fluctuated too rapidly to measure. His rangefinder gave different measurements each time he used it. First reading, 47 feet wide. Second reading, 51 feet. Third reading, 44 feet. The house was changing size, or existing at multiple sizes at once. "This violates causality," Dr. Cole whispered, staring at his tablet. "It violates thermodynamics. It violates everything." Detective Maria Santos was less interested in the how and more interested in the what now. A no-nonsense investigator with 20 years on the force, she'd seen strange things, but nothing like this. "Can we go inside?" she asked. Dr. Cole looked up, his face pale. "I wouldn't recommend it. Not until we understand what we're dealing with." But the mayor was already making calls. The press was demanding answers. The world was watching. They needed to know if anyone was inside, if it was dangerous, if it was real or some elaborate trick. They needed someone to go in. James Wheeler stepped forward at 2:15 p.m. A local journalist for the Maple Street Gazette, James had covered city council meetings and high school football games for 12 years. This was his chance at something bigger, something that mattered. He was 38 years old, married to Emma for 14 years, father to 2 daughters aged 11 and 9. He was sensible, careful, not the type to take stupid risks. But this wasn't stupid. This was history. This was the story of the century, maybe the millennium, and he was here right now with a chance to be part of it. "I'll go in," he told Detective Santos. "I'll document everything. 2 hours, you said? I'll be back in 2 hours. Santos studied him. "You sure about this?" "We don't know what's in there. That's why someone needs to look." James adjusted the body camera strapped to his chest. He had 3 cameras total: body cam, handheld, and his phone as backup. 3 different recording devices. 3 different ways to capture proof of what he found inside. Emma arrived just as he was preparing to enter. She pushed through the crowd, her face tight with worry. "James, don't, please." He kissed her forehead. "I'll be fine. 2 hours. I'll be back before the girls get home from dance class." "This is crazy. This whole thing is crazy." "I know, but someone has to do it. Might as well be me." He smiled, that confident smile that had made her fall in love with him years ago. "Besides, I've got 3 cameras. Even if something weird happens, we'll have footage." Emma wanted to argue more, but she could see the determination in his eyes. She'd seen that look before. There was no talking him out of it. At 2:37 p.m., James Wheeler walked up the porch steps. They creaked under his weight, the sound of old wood that had borne countless footsteps. The front door was painted a deep dark red, the color of dried blood or aged wine. There was no doorknob, just a tarnished brass knocker shaped like a lion's head. James pushed. The door swung inward silently, revealing darkness beyond. He turned back to the crowd one last time, gave a thumbs up, and stepped inside. The door closed behind him with a soft final click. The crowd waited. Cameras pointed at the door. Police stood ready. Dr. Cole monitored his equipment. Emma gripped the barrier so hard her knuckles went white. 2 hours, they'd agreed. 2 hours and he'd come out. 2 hours and 30 minutes passed. No sign of James. 3 hours. 4 hours. The sun began to set. Detective Santos made the call at 4:45 p.m. "We're going in. Rescue team, 4 volunteers, full equipment." 4 officers stepped forward: Martinez, Chen, Kowalski, and Davis. All experienced, all trained for high-risk situations. They carried radios, flashlights, rope, and a battering ram in case they needed to break down interior doors. They entered at 4:52 p.m. The door closed behind them. And like James Wheeler before them, they never came out. By midnight, Maple Street had transformed into a disaster scene. Floodlights illuminated the house from every angle. Mobile command centers had been set up. The National Guard arrived at 11 p.m. and established a hard perimeter, no one in or out without authorization. Emma Wheeler sat in a folding chair behind the barriers, wrapped in a blanket someone had given her, staring at the red door, waiting. Other families arrived: Martinez's wife and 3 children, Chen's elderly parents, Kowalski's fiancé, Davis's brother, all of them waiting, holding on to hope that was fading with each passing hour. The media circus intensified. Every major network sent teams, international news agencies, documentary crews, podcasters, YouTubers. Everyone wanted a piece of the story. The theories grew more elaborate: government conspiracy, corporate cover-up, military experiment gone wrong, portal to another dimension, time anomaly, haunted house, cursed ground, ancient burial site. Every possible explanation except the truth, because the truth was impossible to know from the outside. Dr. Cole worked through the night, taking measurements, reviewing data, consulting with colleagues via satellite phone, quantum physicists, temporal mechanics experts, even a few brave souls who studied fringe science and paranormal phenomena. "It's like the house exists slightly out of phase with our reality," he explained to a gathering of officials at 2 a.m. "My instruments detect it, but the readings are inconsistent with any known form of matter. It's as if the structure is both here and not here simultaneously." "English, please," said the mayor. "The house isn't following the rules. Time, space, matter, none of it behaves normally in proximity to this structure, and I have no idea why." On the second day, they attempted to send in a robot, a bomb disposal unit equipped with cameras and sensors. The moment it crossed the threshold, all signals died. The robot simply ceased to transmit. They tried pulling it back with its tether, but the cable went slack. When they reeled it in, the end was cut clean, as if by a laser or an impossibly sharp blade. They sent in drones. Same result. The drones would cross the doorway and immediately fall silent, signals cutting to dead air. They tried shooting cameras inside on poles. The cameras would show darkness, maybe a glimpse of a hallway, and then nothing. Static. The feeds would die. Whatever the house was, it didn't like technology, or it consumed it, or both. By the third day, the government classified the site. Armed soldiers replaced local police. Scientists from classified agencies arrived in black SUVs. The public was pushed back 3 blocks. Only essential personnel were allowed near the containment zone. Emma Wheeler fought to stay. "My husband is in there. You can't make me leave." They let her stay, out of compassion or PR concerns, probably both. She became a fixture on the news, the face of the tragedy, the devoted wife waiting for her husband to emerge from the impossible house. Vigils were held, candlelight ceremonies, prayer circles. People from around the world sent messages of support. A shrine formed at the outer barriers, photos of the missing, flowers, teddy bears, handwritten notes. But the house stood silent. The windows remained dark. The red door stayed closed. On the 4th day, October 19th at 3:17 a.m., something changed. A soldier on watch, Private Gomez, reported movement. "I've got something. The door. The door is opening." Everyone scrambled to the monitors. Cameras zoomed in. The red door swung outward, slowly, as if pushed by a weak hand. A figure stumbled onto the porch and collapsed. It was James Wheeler, but not the James Wheeler who'd entered 4 days ago. This man was ancient. The medical team reached him within 90 seconds, rushing across the lawn with a stretcher. Emma tried to follow, but was held back by security. The man on the porch was barely conscious, mumbling something over and over in a voice like dry leaves rustling. 72 years? 72 years? 72 years? He looked like a corpse that hadn't quite died yet. His skin hung loose on his bones, spotted with age. His hair was white and thin, just wisps remaining. His eyes, sunken deep in their sockets, were cloudy with cataracts. His hands were gnarled with arthritis, fingers twisted like old tree roots. But he was wearing James Wheeler's clothes. The body camera was still strapped to his chest, though it was dark and broken. His wedding ring, now loose on his skeletal finger, matched James's ring exactly. They loaded him onto the stretcher and rushed him to the ambulance. As they lifted him, he grabbed a paramedic's arm with surprising strength. "Don't go in," he whispered, his breath rattling. "Don't let anyone go in. It eats time, it eats everything." Then he passed out. Emma was allowed to ride in the ambulance. She stared at the ancient man beside her, this stranger wearing her husband's face, and felt her mind struggling to accept what she was seeing. "James," she whispered. His eyes fluttered open briefly. For just a moment she saw recognition there, saw the man she'd married looking out from behind all those impossible years. "Emma," he breathed. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." Then his eyes closed again. At Mercy General Hospital, doctors performed every test they could think of. The results were impossible, but consistent. This man was approximately 110 years old. His bones showed severe osteoporosis, his arteries were calcified, his organs showed signs of advanced aging, cellular degradation consistent with extreme age. His teeth were mostly gone, worn down to nubs, but his DNA matched James Wheeler perfectly. His fingerprints matched. His dental records, what remained, matched. Every test confirmed it. This ancient man was James Wheeler, who had been 38 years old 96 hours ago. He'd aged 72 years in 4 days. When he finally regained consciousness, Detective Santos was waiting with a recorder. She'd stayed at the hospital through the night, needing answers. "James," she said softly. "Can you hear me?" His eyes opened, those cloudy eyes that had seen too much. "Detective." "What happened in there?" He took a shuddering breath. "How long was I gone?" 4 days, 96 hours. A sound escaped him, something between a laugh and a sob. 4 days. I was in there for 72 years. Santos leaned forward. "Tell me everything. Start from the beginning." James's voice was weak, but his memory was sharp, painfully, impossibly sharp. He remembered every detail of those 72 years as if they'd been compressed and branded into his mind. "I walked through the door and found myself in a hallway. Normal enough. Hardwood floors, wallpaper with a floral pattern, a chandelier overhead that gave off light but had no bulbs. I called out, but my voice sounded wrong, muffled, like I was speaking underwater. I started recording everything, walking room to room. The house seemed normal at first, a parlor with furniture covered in sheets. A dining room with a table set for dinner, plates, silverware, glasses, all covered in dust. A kitchen with a wood-burning stove and a sink with no faucets. But everything felt wrong, off, like a movie set of a house rather than a real house. The walls were solid when I touched them, but they seemed to shift in my peripheral vision. Doors would be in different places when I looked back. After maybe 20 minutes, though I couldn't be sure because my watch had stopped, I decided to leave. I walked back to the front door. But it wasn't there. The hallway just continued. I walked back the way I'd come, I was certain of it, but I found new rooms instead. A library full of books with blank pages, a nursery with a crib that rocked by itself, a bathroom with 7 mirrors, each showing a slightly different reflection. I started to panic. I tried breaking a window, but the glass wouldn't break. I tried breaking through walls, but my fists just bounced off. The house felt solid, immovable, eternal. I don't know how long I wandered before I found the others. Hours, maybe, or days. Time was already feeling strange. I'd get tired, sleep for what felt like minutes, and wake up with a beard that suggested weeks had passed. I found Officer Martinez first. He was in a bedroom sitting on the floor looking at family photos that appeared on the wall. But they weren't his family. He couldn't explain where the photos came from, but he'd been staring at them for what he said was days. We found the others together. Chen in a hallway that seemed to go on forever. Kowalski in a room full of clocks, all showing different times. Davis in the kitchen, trying to eat food that turned to dust when touched. We grouped up, made a plan. We'd stick together, map the house, find a way out. We had training, equipment. We'd survive this. But the house had other plans. We walked for what felt like weeks. The hallways never ended. New rooms appeared. Old rooms disappeared. Sometimes we'd find ourselves back in places we'd already been, but different. A parlor that had been empty now had people sitting in chairs, but when we got close, they were just mannequins. A dining room where the table was set with food, but the food was rotten and crawling with maggots that disappeared when we looked directly at them. And we were aging. I noticed it first with Chen. Gray in his hair that hadn't been there before. Lines around his eyes. He noticed it in me too. We tried to stay calm, rationalize it. Stress, poor lighting, lack of sleep. But it got worse. Our bodies were breaking down. Martinez developed a limp. Kowalski's vision went bad. He said he needed glasses he'd never needed before. Davis got arthritis in his hands. And me? I watched my hair turn gray in a mirror that shouldn't have existed. We tried to keep track of time by sleeping in shifts, but sleep was impossible to measure. Sometimes I'd close my eyes and wake up immediately, but my body felt like I'd slept for months. Other times I'd sleep for what felt like days and wake up to find only minutes had passed. The house was eating our time, consuming it. We were aging years with each sleep cycle. Martinez was the first to give up. After what I think was 15 years, though it might have been less or more, I couldn't tell anymore. He just sat down in a hallway and stopped moving. He stared at the wall and wouldn't respond when we called his name. We tried to make him move, but he wouldn't, couldn't. He just shut down. We had to leave him there. When we came back hours later, he was gone, just gone. Not his body, not his equipment, everything. Like he'd never existed. The house had taken him. Chen went next, then Kowalski, then Davis. One by one, they reached a breaking point and simply stopped. And the house absorbed them, took them somewhere we couldn't follow. I was alone for, I don't know, decades maybe. My body continued aging. My mind stayed sharp, too sharp. I could feel every year, every day, every hour. The house wanted me to experience it all, to understand what it was doing to me. I found rooms I'd never seen before. A room full of photographs of people I didn't know, living lives I'd never lived. A room where the ceiling was the floor and gravity worked sideways. A room that was impossibly large inside, containing forests and streams and mountains under a sky that wasn't real. The house showed me things, visions, memories that weren't mine. I saw the house itself being built centuries ago by people who understood something about time and space that we don't. I saw it appearing in different places, different eras. I saw the people who'd entered before us, trapped in those same endless halls, aging and dying and disappearing. The house was a predator. It fed on temporal energy, on the time we had left to live. It was eating our futures, consuming the years we should have lived outside, and keeping us trapped in a space where time moved however it wanted. I grew old. My body failed piece by piece. My teeth fell out. My eyes went bad. My hands stopped working right. I looked like my grandfather looked before he died. I thought I would die there. I wanted to die there. But the house wouldn't let me. It kept me alive, kept me conscious, kept me experiencing every single year it stole. Then one day, or one year, I couldn't tell anymore, I found a door I'd never seen. A simple wooden door at the end of a hallway, and when I opened it, I saw the porch, the red door, the outside. I ran, hobbled really. My old legs barely worked, but I made it through that door before it could close, before the house could pull me back. And I was out. I was free. But I'd left so much of myself behind. 72 years. The house kept them all. Santos sat back, her mind reeling. The body cameras. You were wearing one. What about the footage? James shook his head slowly. Dead. All of it. The house doesn't like technology that records, doesn't like proof. Everything electronic died within hours. We were trapped in there with nothing but our own senses and the house's lies. What about the others? Is there any chance they're still alive? James's eyes filled with tears, old man's tears thin and slow. No, they're gone. The house has them, and they'll be there forever. James Wheeler's condition deteriorated rapidly. Despite being in intensive care, despite every medical intervention, his body was simply too old, too damaged, too exhausted. Dr. Cole visited him 5 days after his emergence. James was barely conscious, drifting in and out of lucidity. Mr. Wheeler, I need to understand the physics of what you experienced, how the house manipulates time, if we can— James grabbed his wrist with trembling fingers. Destroy it. You have to destroy it. We're trying to understand it first. No. James's eyes were fierce despite their cloudiness. Understanding it is what it wants. It wants to be studied. It wants more people close. Destroy it while you can. But they didn't destroy it. They sealed it instead. Within 2 weeks of James's return, the government had built a containment structure around 44 Maple Street, a massive warehouse with 3-foot-thick concrete walls surrounding the house completely. Armed guards were posted 24/7. No one was allowed within 100 feet without Level 5 clearance. James Wheeler died on November 2nd, 18 days after emerging from the house. He was buried next to his father and, heartbreakingly, next to his son, who had died of natural causes at age 63, while James was trapped inside, aging through decades and days. Emma Wheeler, now technically younger than her husband had been when he died, gave a statement at the funeral. My husband was a brave man, a good man. He wanted to find the truth. Instead, he found something that stole his life from him, stole him from us. That house took everything, his years, his future, our future. It took the father my daughter should have had. It took the life we should have lived together. If you're thinking of going near that place, of trying to solve its mysteries, of testing whether the stories are true, don't. It's not worth it. No story is worth what it cost James, what it cost all of them. But her warning, like James's, was forgotten by many. Because the house on Maple Street wasn't alone. 3 months after James's death, another house appeared. This time in London, materializing overnight in a wealthy neighborhood in Kensington. Same Victorian architecture, same peeling paint, same dark windows, same red door. 6 people entered before authorities could secure the site. None emerged. Then Tokyo, then Mumbai, then Sao Paulo, then Sydney, then Cairo. Within a year, 43 identical houses had appeared worldwide, all materializing overnight in populated areas. Each one was studied, sealed, guarded. Each one claimed victims before security could be established. The scientific community split into factions. Some demanded the houses be destroyed immediately. Nuclear options were seriously considered. Others insisted they represented the greatest scientific discovery in history and must be preserved and studied. The public was terrified and fascinated in equal measure. The houses became pilgrimage sites. Conspiracy theorists camped outside containment zones. Religious groups claimed they were portals to hell or heaven or other dimensions. Cults formed around them, believing they offered enlightenment or eternal life or communion with alien intelligences, and some people entered deliberately, despite the warnings, despite the deaths. Despite James Wheeler's testimony and the dozens of others who'd emerged aged and broken from the houses around the world, some people couldn't resist, the terminally ill hoping for a miracle, the desperately depressed seeking escape, the unbelievably arrogant convinced they'd be the one to crack the mystery, the unbearably curious unable to live with the question unanswered. The houses took them all. Dr. Cole spent the rest of his career studying the phenomenon. He published papers, gave lectures, proposed theories that were elegant and useless: quantum entanglement, temporal recursion, pocket dimensions, extraspatial geometry. None of it explained how or why. The houses simply existed, impossible and hungry and patient. On the one-year anniversary of the Maple Street house's appearance, Emma Wheeler visited the containment site one last time. She'd sold the house, couldn't bear to live there anymore, so close to the thing that had destroyed her family. She was moving across the country with her daughters, starting over somewhere the sky wasn't haunted by the specter of that impossible Victorian mansion. She stood at the outer barriers, looking at the massive warehouse that now hid the house from view. Soldiers patrolled, cameras watched, sensors monitored, billions of dollars spent to contain something that nobody understood. "Mrs. Wheeler?" A young soldier approached her. "You shouldn't be here, ma'am. Civilians aren't allowed within." "I know," she said quietly. "I just wanted to see it one more time, to say goodbye." The soldier softened. He knew who she was. Everyone involved with the project knew her story. "I'm sorry for your loss, ma'am. Your husband was brave." Emma nodded, not trusting herself to speak. As she turned to leave, she heard something that made her blood freeze, a sound that came from inside the warehouse, muffled by concrete and steel but still audible. A creak, long and slow, the sound of a door opening. The soldier heard it too. He grabbed his radio. "Command, this is Checkpoint 7. I'm hearing movement from inside the containment structure. Repeat, movement from inside." But Emma was already running back to her car, away from that place and the hungry thing it held. She didn't look back. Inside the warehouse, in the darkness surrounding the sealed Victorian mansion, the red door had opened. Not for anyone, not because anyone had entered or left. It had opened on its own. The house, patient as always, was calling. Inviting, waiting. And somewhere in its impossible halls, in rooms that existed outside of time and space, the ones who'd never emerged were still walking, still searching, still aging moment by moment, year by year, experiencing lifetimes in hours. Officer Martinez, his mind long broken, wandering hallways that shifted behind him. Officer Chen, sitting in a room full of mirrors, watching himself grow old across infinite reflections. Officer Kowalski, climbing stairs that led nowhere, convinced the next floor would be the way out. Officer Davis, sleeping in a bedroom that absorbed his dreams and turned them into rooms of their own. And others. So many others from houses around the world. All of them trapped in the spaces between seconds. All of them feeding the thing that had no name and needed no reason. The houses don't care about our theories or fears. They simply exist, here and elsewhere, now and always. They appeared before we noticed. They'll remain after we're gone. And the doors, those red doors that lead to nowhere and everywhere, remain open, waiting, always waiting, for the next person who can't resist the mystery, the next person who believes they'll be different, the next person who thinks they can conquer the impossible. The houses are patient. They've been waiting longer than we can imagine. They can wait longer still. The house at 44 Maple Street still stands today, sealed behind concrete and steel but alive and aware. Scientists still monitor it. Governments still guard it. And people still wonder what's inside those dark windows beyond that red door. But if you ever see a Victorian mansion that you don't remember seeing before, that looks like it's been standing for 100 years but appeared overnight, walk away, don't investigate, don't touch, don't enter. Because once you cross that threshold, time stops being something you experience and starts being something that experiences you. Thank you for watching. If this story gave you chills, please subscribe for more tales from the edge of reality. And remember, some mysteries are meant to stay unsolved. What would you do if you saw the house? Let me know in the comments below.